Angela Fazio is an industry powerhouse who has overseen 40,000 homes sold and $9 billion in production. And Kristen Cantrell is one of the nation's most accomplished team leaders, helping thousands of agents build their businesses. They are passionate about educating, encouraging, and empowering moms in real estate. Our next episode starts now.
Hey everyone, welcome to Moms in Real Estate. I'm Angela Fazio.
And I'm Kristen Cantrell. And today we have Angela Gordon in studio in Arizona. We love in studio.
Yes, so we're excited to talk with you today, Angela. We're going to dive deep into the concept of mindset, which is one of my favorite topics. So why don't you get us started?
Yeah, no, I'm excited to be here. Thank you guys so much for having me. Mindset. So a little bit about me. I've been a real estate agent here in Arizona for a little over 2 years and absolutely love what I do. And I think what being in real estate does, and then entrepreneurship in general, is challenges us on a daily basis to be aware of our mind, our thoughts, where are we going, where do we want to be, where are we stuck.
Where are we stuck? I got that.
And so that's one of the things that I love about what we do, right? Is I consider that kind of a challenge. Before real estate, I was in pharmaceutical sales. I did that here in the Valley for a little over 11 years and loved that, but it was time to move on to bigger and better things. I'm a single mom of 4 kids. Ages are 18, 16, 13, and 11. It's wonderful and terrible all at the same time. And I think another part of that is just this constant balancing act that we put this pressure on ourselves being women, and especially being a single mom, right? Of making sure we're showing up as our best self, which goes into that mindset.
Yes. Yeah. Wait a minute. Now your 18-year-old, is that a boy or a girl?
Boy.
Oh man. Is he helpful?
He's great. He is great.
She's all,
yeah, no, he's handy. So that's helpful.
That's good.
But
he drives everyone around.
Yeah, we could say that. Yeah.
So we talked about this before, but I always have to remind myself how lucky we are in real estate that we are all always on this mindset journey, and that's not normal. And I feel like a lot of our audience are these moms that are staying at home that are trying to figure out, do I get into real estate, or they're at another job and they're debating, how do I quit this job to get into real estate? And so they probably have no clue what we're talking about. So
yeah, let's talk about what is mindset, because there's invariably people are like, I kind of know what it is, kind of think I know what it is, and I want to work on it, but I don't really know what it is. So what would you say about what is the concept of mindset?
Well, I think you bring up a great point. It's different for everybody. For me, it's how I'm feeling and what are my thoughts. And if that's not in line with who I want to be and who I feel like I could be, then it's an automatic shift. So what that means for me is a lot of journaling, a lot of sitting with myself. I do cold plunges, I do yoga, I do guided meditation, I do sound baths, I do breath work. I mean, for me, it's just kind of that whole picture.
Well, why don't you tell us, so when you say I do all these things, you don't just do them here and there. You actually are a member at a place that does this regularly, and you're like, hey, every Monday night I'm doing these breath work guided meditation. So tell us more about not just that you do them, but you actually plug them into your schedule regularly.
Yeah. That's the one thing that I learned early on as a mom is if I'm not taking care of myself, I'm not showing up as my best self. And I think that this, as women and being a single mom, and especially owning our own business, is we feel bad if we take that time for ourselves, or guilty for taking that time for ourselves. And I've really shifted my mindset in that, is if I'm not taking care of myself, I'm not showing up at work and for my clients and for my kids and my family as my best self.
How often do you cold plunge?
That's, I feel like, a loaded question. So I go to a place out in Mesa called Reconnect. I go there every Sunday. If I can get another cold plunge in there during the week, that's amazing time-wise. I'll jump in my pool if the weather's right and it feels cold enough. So
Angela used to cold plunge for a year straight, and she would do it in her pool, and everyone would wake up hearing her screaming.
I have a cold plunge pool on my balcony now.
Oh, you've upgraded.
I know.
I love that.
I know.
Do you
so do
use
you do it daily then?
I don't do it daily.
Okay.
I can't make myself do it daily. I can do it maybe 3 times a week.
That's a lot. How often do you need to cold plunge?
Nobody needs to cold
Okay,
plunge.
how often, like, if you're like, I want these results, how often should you do it?
I mean, I think it's daily.
Probably.
Preferably it's daily, because what you get from that is you do something you don't want to do. You get in there. I've had cold plunges where I've broken down hysterically crying. I've had cold plunges where I'm feeling great and I'm in there smiling, and everything in between. But it's, again, that mindset of, I don't want to do this. I'm going to make myself do it. And you get in the water and you have this feeling of fight or flight.
Yeah.
And it's panicking. So then it makes you focus on your breath.
That's right.
And then the more calm you can be in such a high stress situation just translates into our day.
It really does,
So-
because if I can keep my ass in that cold plunge for 10 minutes, then that's a big deal,
Yeah.
right?
Well, let's even talk about, I want to go back a little bit, because some people might be like, I don't even know what cold plunging is or why somebody would do it. So take us through, like, what are the benefits?
So from what I know, there's the inflammatory benefit. It helps reduce inflammation. When we get in the cold plunge, you have restriction in your blood vessels, and it does like a lymphatic flush as well. I know there's other health benefits as well, cardiovascular. You can lose weight. But for me, it's all mental. Like,
Same with me.
Yeah.
It's my ability to make myself get in that cold water.
Yeah.
Because I hate to be cold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, so tell us, like, why did you start down this journey?
So,
And wait, hold on real quick. Why, and did it start prior? I know you said it started like when you became a mom, you realized you needed to focus on this. But was it actually when you started in real estate, or was it when you were in pharmaceutical sales that you actually got really intentional with it?
I think I've always had the desire of being aware and not really knowing what that meant. So then it became, okay, what do I want that to look like, and where do I even start? And I think the scariest thing is just trying something new and being afraid of that. I'm very much like a creature of habit, so doing anything outside of my regular comfort zone is a big ask for me. But personally, I was going through a lot in my marriage at the time, and so it was a lot of like self-discovery and who do I want to be and how do I want to show up. And that's kind of how I started down the journey of the reconnect and the breath work and all of that.
And the sitting with yourself. Do you know how
Yes,
scary
that's so
that
hard.
sounds? Like,
That's so hard.
And I say that, like, I actually I've told Angela multiple times now, like, I keep having all these people that are on this journey, like, coming into my life this year. And a lot of them are talking about sitting with yourself, alone with your thoughts. And for me, I'm like, I don't really, like, I get uncomfortable even after yoga during that quiet time. I'm like, this is a waste of time. Like, I need to go. I don't want to sit here. And so I'm trying really hard to, like, lean into this. But I do know a lot of people are like me, that they struggle. They're like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
But they know they need to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a huge struggle for me. I use prayer as time with myself, right? And so you just see the other day, I was like, okay, I'm laying in the sun. I'm going to be intentional and I'm going to have a full conversation. Do you know how many times it was like squirrel? I'm like, wait, how did I get on a different mind journey when I was having what I thought was an intentional conversation? It's hard.
Yeah. What I've learned, the benefit of sitting with yourself is you become very aware of what's going on in your mind. So journaling during that time is a distraction to just kind of like sitting there. But I also feel like because, and maybe it sounds like our minds run the same way, we're thinking of 1,000 things at once, and what can we do next, and what else can we add to our plate? I feel like we lose a lot of joy in the moment. And so by being able to sit with ourselves and cold plunging and doing the breath work, it allows, at least for me, time to slow down a little bit and be just more present in my day to day.
Do you find that, because so everyone, you guys, she's been in real estate for just over 2 years, but she has like flown into real estate and she's killing it. She already has a team of how many people? 5. And then not only that, she's already a top producing agent. So that, you know, feeling of constant chaos is probably very relevant to you every day, all day. So can you walk us through kind of your real estate journey and how mindset has played a role in that?
Yeah. So when I started, so I'll start off by saying I'm an all or nothing person. So there's that. Like I knew once I'm in, I'm in.
I
and
can
I'm
tell
just gonna
that
make,
about you.
Yeah, I'm just gonna make this work, right? Which is terrifying. At least it was for me because it's highly competitive. I didn't know what I was doing. I'm like, I know I want to sell a house, but how do I even do that? Right? Like so much of what we do is learned on the job to begin with. And so what I had to get over was putting myself out there and not being afraid of what was going to happen if I did that. Networking, doing the social media, showing up at events, making my own events and being like, what if nobody shows up, you know? So there's so much that goes into that. And so I try to I'm more optimistic in general. So I try to lean into those, but it's a constant check-in, like throughout our day. Our days can be stressful. So it's like, okay, where's my head at? Where are my thoughts? And do I need to shift them a little bit to be more optimistic, more abundance versus
That if we can't be aware of what's going on in our brains, we can't even have the choice to shift.
Right.
That's the whole thing I think about mindset. If we learn to like you said, be aware of what you're thinking about, then you can be aware when it's not going right and be aware when it's not in line with, like you said, who you want to be. But if you don't get there, if you don't work on it, it's not habitual. What's natural is just to let thoughts fall in your brain and then act on them, and thinking that you have no control over your thoughts, right? But you do have control over your thoughts, but it takes practice. So what kind of, how do you get in, how have you gotten in the habit of even being aware? We hear alone time, that's probably a big thing.
Yeah.
But what other things have helped you to develop that habit?
I think it just goes back to like the journaling, therapy. I'm not afraid to say, you know, I did therapy and it served its purpose. And now I'm more moving towards like the mental coach and being more progressive. And I think that having someone like a therapist or a coach just kind of helps you think outside of the box, call you out when you say things and like, wait a second, that doesn't really fall in line with where we're headed. But it's just staying curious always and not being afraid or ashamed of negative thoughts or fear and just acknowledging it. And to your point, we are in control. And I think a lot of people, if you're not aware, you are out of control and it creates a lot of anxiety and stress that isn't necessary.
Thinking.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I know why this keeps popping up in my life. I need it.
You
I'm like,
need it?
Everyone needs it.
I was going to say
I'm
everyone
like-
does. Yeah.
I'm always like a chicken with my head cut off. And I'm
Yeah.
like, as I listen more and more, I'm just like, yeah, it sounds so nice to not always be in like fight or flight, you know?
Yeah.
You know, what's interesting, I've actually been thinking about that very thing lately because I'm getting older. I'm in my 50s, right? And so I sometimes think to myself, do I want to slow down a little bit? Like, oh no, that's a bad thing to do. Why would you even consider having a time or a period where you slow down? That's not who you are. All your life, you've run around like a chicken with your head cut off. So I've let that define me a little bit. And now I'm starting to say, wait, is that really defining me? Or why am I letting that happen? Because you don't have to be like that your whole life just because you've been like that for a season or your whole life, right? So those kinds of things are, even as you get older and you've been practicing for a long time, you start to go, whoa, I am thinking, that's not, I've called that positive, but it's not, it's negative. So what am I going to do about it, right?
It's, in my experience, it's a distraction.
Ah,
It's
yes,
a distraction
good point.
of what we don't want to work on and we don't want to change. I know that I experienced that when I was going through my divorce, is I just threw myself so hard into work because I didn't want to have to be by myself and I didn't want to have to sit with my thoughts. And so I was just going to work and and also I'm the breadwinner right now. So I have to make all the money. But so I would just maybe challenge you a little bit to see like, is that a distraction, you know? And there's also like the abundance mindset too, where if you're in line with everything that you want to be doing, your passions, and you're pouring into your relationship and your family and work, then really with the abundance mindset, like business just flows. To you,
It's so, that is
you
so
know,
true.
and
Very
so
true.
also kind of releasing this need to like grind yourself so hard where you burn out to being more in line with everything else.
How are you teaching your kids this stuff?
Like by example,
Yeah.
you know, and I think I didn't have that growing up. So just being constantly having these conversations, but also understanding they're kids. So they're probably like, what in the hell are you talking about? You know, but it's just being that example. I take my kids to reconnect if they want to go yoga, walks,
love
encourage them to journal. My boys are not journaling, let's be honest. But
I would love to read their journals if
Yeah.
they did.
I know, right?
I don't know if I want to read them. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think I want to. Yeah. So yeah, just lead by example. They're
That's
always
awesome.
watching.
So my girlfriend who does sound baths and breath work and everything, her son is 9, I believe. And he actually does sound baths in their house, and I'm like, how cool. He should go and do this for a bunch of kids.
Yeah.
You know, but it like was a way of calming him down, and like his anxiety, and it's been like amazing for him. So I think that's so cool.
Yeah, no, I love that.
I don't think I know
Normalize
what that
it.
is. I don't think I know what a sound bath
they're
is.
so cool. Come to my house next month. I'm having them. You have to come
Your life
too.
is going to be changed.
Is
You
it
would
literally just
actually like
music
them.
and water?
They're bowls, and so
Yeah.
they're bowl. Every bowl will have align with your chakras. So throat, heart, third eye. What's the root? I don't know.
I don't
I
I'm gonna be
no
called
clue.
that right now for not knowing all of them. So the vibration will focus on that particular area. The sweet spot, in my opinion, is having breath work with the guided meditation. I think that's really where you can like explore your mind and see where your thoughts are going.
I
So.
just went through it 2 weeks ago, and it was awesome.
Yeah, you told me.
Yeah, it
She
was so
she's
cool.
been always
Yeah.
really I'm never skeptical about it. I try it.
Yeah.
But she's always been really skeptical. And she's like, I love this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you. What's really cool about real estate to me is that you really get to like intertwine your passions within your work. So have you been able to bring mindset into you building your business by helping other people with their mindset, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I think that. Well, if you follow me on social media, I feel like that's all I'm talking about is like
I feel like it's a lot
mindset.
lately.
Yeah.
I love it. It's good.
So there's that. I have a team, so I get to pour into people and challenge them. I feel like there's always times and opportunities for me to create some more awareness with that. One of our team events was breathwork and
Yes.
sound baths, so that was great. And then I'm big on just community involvement too. I definitely love to pour into people and show up and smile and make a difference. And so I do volunteer quite a bit in the community, and so.
What is the biggest thing that you think has contributed you for your career to take off so well so quickly? Like, what are the things that, I mean, do you have this huge center of influence? Have you had this huge success in one area? What would you attribute it to?
I think it's two things. I think it's just putting myself out there and not being afraid of what if this doesn't work. And then being consistent. I mean, there's not a day that I'm not working, and I have like the 3 areas in my business that I'm constantly working at and evaluating, and
they are?
shifting.
Yeah, where
And
they are. People want to know.
Yeah, so social media. I spend a lot of time and invest a lot of money in social media. So I'll highlight local businesses, or I'll do different videos where people can relate to me. So hopefully when they meet me in person, and I get this all the time, is I feel like I already know you,
Yeah, I
you know,
love
which
that.
like makes me feel so good because that means I'm doing it right.
Yep.
I do a lot of events. So I've primarily focused in East Mark and Cadence, which is a pretty large community, 2 communities out here in Mesa. So I show up and tag along on the community events, and then something wrong with my throat. And then the third is just the community involvement. That's a big part of. I did that before I was in real estate, and so just being able to invite people who haven't done it.
Well, I think that's so important for our audience to hear that again and again, because I feel like they all, you know, you get told so many different times when you get into real estate, like cold calling, door knocking, open houses, and they get scared and they're like, I don't want to do those things. And you guys are listening to somebody who's still a new agent who has built a successful business off of community involvement and social media. So I think that we can't say that enough, I don't think, to our audience.
I don't think we can say that enough. I think you have to add one thing to that is there's no secret formula that you follow.
Consistency.
It's consistency, but it's also choosing the things that you can be consistent in because it's authentic to you.
Yes.
Like I'm not going to
Community involvement for you, not so much.
I can do my own form of community involvement. I just don't want to do it with other people, you know? So, you know, you have to choose. I never want our audience to think that there's this one magic formula. And if you follow this magic formula, the magic formula is in the tenets, like the consistency, the persistency, being, you know, being proactive and not too reactive. That's a formula, but not what you're doing necessarily.
Yeah,
Right.
I think that's one of the most exciting things about real estate, and also one of the hardest things is you can make it whatever you want, but also you can make it whatever you want. And I think a lot of people get so overwhelmed with that. So as I'm working with my agents on my team, it's what do you love to do?
Yes.
And how do we
for you.
incorporate that into your
That's smart.
business? You know, so I have one agent who's from Chicago and she runs a Chicago in the Valley Facebook group. And so she just did her very first event at the Cubs game. And I'm like, this is perfect. Like you love the Cubs,
Literally
you love spring
perfect.
training. So it's all about finding what you do so that you actually can still love working. It doesn't feel like work. And then you get your people and you get to
Yep.
work with your people. You know?
That's right.
This is why I like you so much. You're so like spot
Likeable.
on with what I do.
No, she's just likable.
She's very likable.
She's got
But
that cute little
it
dimple.
is. I know. I know.
God, I wish I had a dimple. I don't get one.
So funny.
So what would you say? Let's wrap it up by giving our audience maybe 3 tips. If you're going to get into real estate or if you're in real estate and struggling, like here's my advice to you.
Yeah, so I think it just goes back to what we were just talking about. I would say pick 2 or 3 things that you love doing and enjoy doing and develop a plan on how you can build your business around that. And then just be consistent in what you're doing.
Is there anything outside of those 2 things? Like, you know, I know we always talk about who you surround yourself with matters. Like, is there anything like that that you would put in there to somebody?
Yeah. I mean, I think for sure you want to have your support system. I'm kind of like a lone wolf in a sense that like I do my own thing and I move fast. But I think I'm still human. So being around people who are like-minded, I've been around people who are not, and it doesn't align and it feels like I'm being kind of held back a little bit. So that's incredibly important. I think there's a lot of different ways you can tap into that. You could find someone in the same industry and reach out to them and say, hey, like, I love what you're doing. Let's meet for coffee. And I get that all the time. And I do it to people. And I think that kind of falls in line with that community piece. But yeah, I mean, I think who you're and what you're listening to.
Yeah.
Like, I don't listen to the news.
Nope.
Heck
The
no.
music I listen to, like that's also, I mean, Jack Johnson. I'm like, I will feel happy every time I listen to Jack Johnson. So,
Wow, I haven't listened to him for so long.
yeah.
I don't
Really
even know who
doing
he
that
is.
today. What?
Oh my gosh.
You would like Jack
Better
Johnson.
Together.
I mean, if maybe you played the
would.
song. I listen to a lot
You
of
would.
So
country
just being
music.
like very, very selective on what I'm watching, what I'm listening
Yes.
to, what I'm reading,
Right.
all of that. It matters.
That's great.
It really does
That
matter.
really is great. Okay, we have to do I'm going to say a word,
Oh gosh.
and
okay.
you're going to give me your immediate reaction to it.
Okay.
Okay. So you ready?
Yeah.
Peace is.
Knowing yourself.
Oh, I have one. Red lipstick is. Maybe nobody gets this but us 3.
She's got the most
That's
amazing
so
red
funny.
lipstick
Always.
on. Always.
That is so funny. It's MAC. Okay, so red
It's
lipstick
MAC.
is bold.
Bold. Yes, it is.
Nice.
Do you have one more?
No, darn it.
Oh, I'll say love looks like.
Support.
Love it. That's great. Thank you so
Yeah,
much for
no.
coming on our podcast today.
So happy I
Absolutely.
was
You've
here.
been wonderful.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right, you guys, if you have never been to a Flourish event, you need to go to theflourishevent.com, figure out when the next one is, and get your ticket. So they always sell out, and we always have people crying to us, I didn't get a ticket because you didn't buy one soon enough. So go to theflourishevent.com and get your ticket early. It is the best women's event that you will ever attend. Thank you guys for listening.
Angela Fazio is an industry powerhouse who has overseen 40,000 homes sold and $9 billion in production. And Kristen Cantrell is one of the nation's most accomplished team leaders, helping thousands of agents build their businesses. They are passionate about educating, encouraging, and empowering moms in real estate. Our next episode starts now.